Did you guys hear about this crazy story that happened in Japan? So apparently the store finally got stock of PS5s in Japan, and there was a line outside. They were handing out tickets, and some people weren't sure if they were gonna get a ticket. Maybe there wasn't enough. So what ended up happening is that they started rushing and pushing into the store, and they ended up pushing in so far that it knocked back the register, and some of the employees were like against the wall. It was a whole big mess. It was mostly scalpers looking to buy and scalp the PS5s. It was just crazy. If I have some video, I'll put it up for you guys to see. Keep in mind that we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and especially in Japan, there is zero social distancing going on here. It mostly had to do with them not having a limit for the amount of PS5s that you could buy. So pretty much all the scalpers were there, and for the most part, I imagine people that actually wanted one were there, and they just couldn't get one. Everyone pushed into the point where the store shut down. Welcome back to another Tech Control video. Shout out to those of you that are subscribed, and those of you that are not, now's your chance. Hit that button. So let's jump right into it. We all heard about the stock shortages for both consoles. We all know the stock shortages. Most of us are living in those stock shortages. I was one of the lucky few that actually ended up getting both consoles on launch day, but I know that there's a lot out there that weren't, and unfortunately it looks like the stock shortages are continuing. Inventory is especially slim for the Xbox Series X and S consoles, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But for the most part, we heard Microsoft say that there would be stock shortages all the way up to April. Well, looks like now Mike Spencer, not Phil Spencer, Mike Spencer, he's the head of investor relations over at Microsoft. He is now saying that there's most likely going to be stock shortages all the way up to June, maybe July, but definitely June, and I believe it. So why the production shortages? Well, it's most likely AMD. AMD is the common hardware in both of these, the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S. They're the chip manufacturer that's in both of these consoles. So Sony came out with their earnings report, and they stated that they made $8 billion in profit, and that had a lot to do with the PS5 launch. So they actually told us that they managed to sell 4.5 PlayStation 5s and another million in PS4s, which, shout out to the PS4, still going strong. Microsoft hasn't exactly told us how many units they sold. They haven't told us since the middle of last gen, so I don't expect them to continue. But they did tell us that there is a shortage, and we see that there is more of a shortage on the Xbox side than there is the PlayStation side. Now, I never reported on this. I don't think I had a channel at the time, but regardless, sometime last year, maybe even the year before, I can't remember the exact timeline, but sometime in the past, there was a rumor floating around that the PS5 was more than 3 times more powerful than the next gen Xbox, and obviously that turned out not to be true. The truth to that rumor is that at the time, developers only had the Xbox One X dev kit. They didn't actually have the Series X or S dev kit. So to an extent, at the time at least, that rumor was true. They didn't necessarily have the next gen Xbox dev kit on hand, and you may be asking yourself why did they have the PS5 dev kit and not the Xbox dev kit? Well, Xbox Series X dev kits were not available because they were waiting for AMD to their RDNA 2 processor. They were waiting for that technology to fully be developed and implemented, and at the time it just wasn't ready yet. PS5 on the other hand has a hybrid version of the RDNA 1 and 2. I don't want to call it a 1.5 or anything like that, because it's not the case. It just takes certain things from 2, and it's just a hybrid version, but it's not the full-fledged RDNA 2 like it is on the Xbox. So this is why the Xbox Series dev kit was so delayed, because they just were waiting on tech that wasn't available yet. That's also why you're seeing some of the dev kit and the tools that are available to them, they're a little behind as well. Not that they're bad, they're just still pretty new, and they developers need time to use these and learn these to optimize their games. And you kind of saw that a little bit early on, where some of the games were running slightly better on the PS5, and now with the last couple of games that have been coming out, you're seeing higher resolution on the series as opposed to the PS5. In some cases, they're dead even, but there isn't that discrepancy that there was before. So, what about the consoles? How are they selling? Well, they're both selling pretty well. I mean, obviously, they're out of stock everywhere. And the scalpers are doing everything that they can to get their hands on one just to flip it on eBay. And you can still, the prices have gone down a little bit, but still higher than they retail. So I'd say that they're selling pretty well. In fact, Microsoft also reported that they made 15 billion in profit just last quarter. I mean, the big talk about Microsoft or Xbox specifically a couple of months ago was the acquisition of ZeniMax and Bethesda, which cost them 7.5 billion or something like that, and they made double that back in one quarter. So how are the sales for both? They're doing pretty well. They're out of stock everywhere. I would say the consoles are just fine. Kind of sucks for us, the consumers that don't have and want, but hopefully come June. I know it was before April, now it's June, could be pushed out even further, but at the same time could be moved up. The supply may be more widely available then. For now, we just gotta look forward to June and see what happens. So what does this mean for you if you are somebody out there that is trying your best to find the console? Unfortunately, there really isn't much you can do. Just pay attention to stores whenever they do get a stock and try and order as fast as you can. I know they still have a queue over at the PlayStation.com website. You can follow Wario64 on Twitter. He always puts up as soon as something is about to go live. That's really all that we can do for the time being. Just do your best. Call your local GameStop. Don't constantly call them. They can only they don't control the supply, so obviously, but you can just call and ask nicely, hey, do you have any PS5s or Xbox Series X's, or when is your next shipment? I'll give you a call that day, something like that. And then hopefully we can all look out and see if we can get one. Now the sort of good news, but at the same time bad news, is that there isn't really much games out there to play this. I mean, at least on the PlayStation side, sure, you have Spider-Man Miles Morales, you have Demon Souls, which is kind of cool. You have a couple other games here and there. PlayStation All Stars just came out, but it's not like something you're dying to get. Maybe Returnal, but even that got pushed back till April 30th. And then on the Xbox side, obviously there isn't much there either. You just got the Medium, which came out a couple days ago. And then a couple others that are coming out later. But the point is that by the time stock is more widely available, maybe they'll have more games available at the time that you can actually take advantage of the console and the next gen hardware and things like that. Older games are being updated on both consoles, so that's great, especially if you are a PlayStation subscriber, PlayStation Plus subscriber. You get what's PlayStation Plus Anniversary, I think it's called. I forget what it's called, but they give you like 15 games that were pretty good on last gen. God of War is on there, something like that. And then if you're on the Xbox side, you have Game Pass. That catalog is growing every day. I mean, you can literally play every Yakuza game that came out. Yakuza 0 all the way through, I think it goes up to 7 or something like that. With the exception of Like a Dragon, obviously, because that came out recently. That was a launch title. What else? There's, again, Game Pass has a huge library, over 100 games on there, including every Xbox exclusive from last gen, this gen moving forward. And then you also have EA Play, which is on there, a ton of games there. Just recently, either today or yesterday, I can't remember, Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition came out. And yes, I know it's remastered and all that, but if you have Game Pass with EA Play on there, you have those same exact games. Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, and Andromeda, they're all part of the Game Pass. So sure, you could spend $60 or $70 on the collection It's gonna be remastered, which is nice. Or you could play them for free. The Xbox console has AI built in that automatically doubles the frame resolution and adds HDR. So it's somewhat remastered, not to the extent of the Legendary Edition, obviously, but you can actually play those same games for free, you know. So I mean, especially like I said, with both the PlayStation anniversary as well as the Game Pass, you have a huge catalog, a backlog of games that you could play in the meantime while you're waiting for more games to come out, you know. Once again, just a friendly reminder, don't forget to sub, like, share, comment your thoughts below. Let me know what you think. If you ended up getting a console, if you were one of the lucky few, I want to know.